Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. Welcome back to my channel. Here I'm called Heffelbeans, but you can also call me AC. If you guys couldn't tell by now, I've struggled with schedules my entire life. I understand that I've been slacking really hard with my upload schedule. I'm very sorry. Frankly, I know damn well that you guys are not as disappointed in me as I am, but you know, baby steps, baby steps. Today, the subreddit we'll be covering is r/nuclearrevenge. Because, frankly, I like the subreddit a lot, I like hearing about it, but my fellow Reddit YouTubers that I've watched, don't really cover it as much as I wish they did, so I might as well cover it myself, see how that works. So without further ado, let's get right into the content. This first post is by Chaotic Lokin. You want to hit a disabled person? Have fun with 30 plus years in jail. Obligatory found the subreddit because of the click real quick. Oh, I love the click. This happened in January, but the district attorney called me 2 days ago with the update. I'm a wheelchair user because of a fainting disorder. Severe POTS for those wondering. I came home from work to see a car parked right under a no parking fire lane and on the sidewalk. It blocked the way into my apartment and I had to leave the wheelchair in my car. I started taking photos of the car because this had been an issue with the owner for months. My landlord had told me to get photos of it and email them to him every time she did it after I mentioned it in passing. While taking a photo, the owner came out of her apartment to scream at me. I stayed calm and tried to walk into my apartment. She got in my face to continue screaming, and by reflex I shove her back. She then grabbed me by the... What? She then grabbed me by the throat and began to punch me. After a minute, my neighbors and roommate, who were having a smoke, came running and got her off me. Police were called. Paramedics showed up because my neck was bleeding! She had acrylic nails, and I ended up going to the ER because I had a syncope episode while the paramedics were there. I decided to press charges, thinking I'd just get an aggravated assault or something. I made sure they got her while she was home because I knew she had a gun on the wall despite being a convicted felon. When the police went to arrest her, they found the car was stolen, without insurance, she didn't have a license, there were used needles all over the apartment with her 8-year-old child, and the gun, which also marked stolen. Child is in foster care, and she is in jail without bond. The DA said that her child recorded it, she apparently told her to, and it was already ruled as assault because of the overwhelming proof. Plus the 7 counts of assault she's gotten in the past 5 years already. Had I gotten her nailed with it outside her home, she would have only gotten probation since she was a parent. But now she lost her kid, her home, her car, and is going to be in jail for about 30 years or more, depending what the state charges her with for the drugs. Losing her car? That's a stretch considering that you just said that it was stolen. I hope the child will be able to move past this, and I hope you're doing alright, OP. This woman does not deserve to be anywhere near children, or disabled people, or people for that matter. This next post is by OG Sister Midnight. Hell hath no fury like 2 women scorned. Say goodbye to all of your stuff. 15 years ago, I had a boyfriend I'd been with for 6 years. He moved to another city for work while I finished my studies, and then I would move there too. He was apartment hunting, subleasing in the meantime. He came home almost every weekend during Christmas and New Year's. He found an apartment in January and invited me up to show it, and I prepared to move up, looking for a job, looking for new furniture, etc. Late February, I told him it's time to terminate the lease on the apartment in our hometown, which he suddenly broke up with me. I was shocked and very sad. He collected some clothes and his very expensive PC, which he'd built from scratch. It was his baby. 2 weeks later, he updated his profile picture on Facebook to him and another woman kissing. Obviously, they hadn't been dating 2 weeks. I called him and called him out on it, and he admitted to having met her 2 months ago. He was at the airport to travel abroad with his buddy for the weekend, so we didn't talk long. That same evening, I decided to tell a new girlfriend. I managed to find her on Facebook and wrote her. She didn't believe me at first, of course, but then I sent her texts, pics, I described their apartment in detail. Well, her apartment, as it turned out. When I sent her a dick pic he'd sent me with their bedroom clearly in the background, she said, "Okay, enough, I believe you." She told me they'd been dating for 8 months, not 2. She'd been in Africa for 2 months, in December and January, which would explain why he was able to be with me for 2 weeks over the holiday, and why he could invite me to see the apartment. We wrote a lot. He'd send us the exact same Valentine's Day text. He brought us the exact same Christmas present, etc. You get the picture. After comparing notes, it was time for revenge. She cut up all the clothes and left them in a pile on the floor. I told her about the PC and advised her to tear that fucker to pieces. She hacked it with screwdrivers and hammers, and every piece was beyond saving. When he came home on Sunday, she tossed him out with nowhere to go, but not before showing him all of his possessions obliterated. Edit, I need to clarify that legally it was my PC. I'd won money in one of those scratch lottery tickets, but since we were living together, I kind of thought of it as ours. Huge mistake. Geez, you shouldn't have let him take the PC if it was your PC legally. Should have gotten the girl to steal it back for you. Something beautiful about this is that even in the most, annoying and horrible of times, you can still make a friendship. Because to be honest, friendships made by spiting another person are some really good friendships to have. So yeah, I hope you and the other girl become closer and become friends.
No, wait! We'll use the power of friendship. Oh, yo!
This next post is by A Quiet Borderline. A mother's instigation, a daughter's completion. I promised my late friend that I wouldn't share this story until at least a year after her death. That time has passed, and this is nothing short of beautiful. Cruel, but beautiful. I'm going to switch to first-person point of view. This is the story as my late friend told me. I was an only child of 2 loving parents. Mom had a difficult pregnancy and even harder labor. It was so bad that the doctor advised that they never try again. Because he didn't want his wife to die, Dad got a vasectomy, and that was successful. I was sad that I didn't get to have any siblings, but had a happy childhood until I was a young adult. When I was in the middle of college, Mom was diagnosed with stage 4 high-grade serous ovarian cancer. It's the most aggressive form of ovarian cancer, and Mom's older sister and Mom both died from it. We knew her odds weren't good. I don't know what Dad was thinking, I really don't, but he started an affair with his coworker, a woman just a few years older than me. Oh, ew. Coworker started integrating herself into me and my mom's life. She'd go shopping for us, keep the house in order, help me with homework, and even sit with Mom when Mom was going through chemo and Dad and I weren't there. And no, I had no clue. At all. I just thought it was coworker being kind to a family going through hard times. Mom fought. She fought hard, but the odds just weren't in her favor. One day, I was visiting her in hospice and we were playing Chutes and Ladders. Mom got real quiet and then she told me, "You do know your dad isn't planning to reverse his vasectomy, right?" I was surprised, wondering what she was talking about. "Yeah, I know," I said. "Why?" Mom just looked at me and said, "I think you'd best keep it in mind." We continued playing, and when I left for the night, I kissed her and she said, "You'll be fine on your own." She died that night. I believe she knew she was going to die at that night and didn't want to scare me. Once again, coworker was right by our side. She helped us plan the funeral, brought us food, helped out around the house, and slowly started moving her things in. It was like putting a frog in a pot of water and having the temperature raised. It was slow. It was gradual. A year or so later, she had completely moved herself in and was part of our lives. I don't remember what made me suspicious enough to start digging, but start digging I did. I learned the affair began shortly after Mom's diagnosis. I was sickened, furious, and saddened. I took out my cell, ready to confront Dad and coworker with the knowledge, but something else struck me. See, during one of her visits, coworker mentioned to Mom and me that she wished to have children with her fiancé. Mom knew the affair was going on, and she trusted me to spill the beans. But I wanted to twist the knife further. As a result, I decided to play the long game. It was a gamble, one that had a good chance of not paying off, but it was one I was willing to take. I kept my mouth shut. I watched as they courted, got engaged, and married 3 years later. I squealed with delight when they announced their engagement to me, wore a proud smile on their wedding day, and made a toast at the reception. I even took extra steps to hide test results from Dad's urologist in such a way that coworker wouldn't find it, but Dad would. Believe me, I was internally screaming. I wanted the world to know the way they heard Mom and me during her darkest hour. I got dangerously close several times. But I said nothing, knowing the payoff would be worth it. Time passed. We played happy family. I got married to my awesome husband and had children. Dad and coworker played doting grandparents, but I knew from the pained look on coworker's face that she was bemoaning her empty nest. Just as I was beginning to give up hope, the day came. Coworker and I had started the tradition of getting together for coffee shortly after Mom's death. We'd talk girl things, again as I internally screamed. Laugh, cry, love, live, that sort of thing. That day, coworker was sad and sullen. I could tell she'd been crying. I asked what was wrong. I couldn't believe my ears when I heard why. She was struggling to get pregnant for years but assumed it was stress from work. Then her periods started coming fewer and farther between. She decided to go to the doctor and find out why. It turned out she was entering premenopause, and her chances of successfully getting pregnant had dwindled. The doctor told her, in essence, her childbearing years were over. As I crooned sympathetic noises, coworker said, "It doesn't make sense. We tried so hard to have kids, but I wasn't able to get pregnant. I don't know why." It was then that I knew it was time. "You mean Dad didn't tell you?" I said. "Didn't tell me what?" I was fighting every chance to smile as I tried playing the "it's not my right to tell" and "I can't believe he didn't tell you" cards until she practically begged me. I should have won an Oscar for my performance. I told her about the vasectomy and that Dad had no intention of reversing it. You should have seen coworker. She completely deflated like a balloon. Her shoulders slumped. She bowed her head and she sobbed in her hands. I wanted to rejoice. I wanted to rub her face in it. I knew, though, that would make me look like the bad guy. So I hugged her and rubbed her back, telling her Dad was horrible for not telling her that she deserved a different outcome and that he completely wasted her time. Again, I was fighting not to smile. When she left, I told her I would always be there for her, but I knew she wasn't going to be a part of my life anymore. Why would she? I was the daughter of the man who betrayed her. Once she had left and I was alone, I wept with joy and relief that it paid off, but also deep sorrow that Mom hadn't been there to see it. That was the last time I saw or talked to coworker. A few weeks later, Dad called me in a fury. Coworker had packed her bags and left, slapping him with divorce papers. She yelled at him for not being honest with her that he had a vasectomy he had no intention of reversing, that he knew she wanted kids, and that she had wasted all of her childbearing years, and that he had left it to me to tell her. He then said, "How could you do that to us? We loved you." I then said in a cold tone, "You and Mom did a good job teaching me how to keep secrets." I hung up, and that was it. I never spoke to him again either. Last I heard, he and coworker were divorced and everyone shunned him because of him keeping the secret. I know I won't be joining Mom after I die. What I did was cruel. It was horrible. I should have done what Mom wanted and spilled the beans beforehand instead of wasting coworker's youth and childbearing years. Even if she could adopt, she'd probably die before her children were fully grown. Although, it's hard to have compassion and mercy for a woman who integrated herself into my dying mom's life as she was screwing my mother's husband. The original poster... Man, the story is very the story is really upsetting. The fact that the mother knew about all of this while it was happening is heartbreaking. To think that the last moments of her life, she knew that she wasn't surrounded by people who truly loved her. I think that the father and the coworker deserved every single part of that. And more. Cheaters never prosper. And with that, I think that's all the time I have for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I know this one's short, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm really running out of ideas already. So please, feel free to comment what you want to see next on my channel. Any subreddits that you want me to cover, I will be sure to take that into consideration, and most likely I will cover them. If you guys want to see me do gameplays or something, I definitely have a few games that I can play for you guys. No, please feel free to leave a comment down below and tell me what to cover next. I'd really appreciate it, and I read all of your comments. Thank you all for being here for me, even when I have a messed up schedule, and even when my videos aren't, you know, the best things on YouTube, for sure. You all mean a lot to me. So again, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, sayonara.